She thought calling Judge Judy a skinny witch would break her, but the moment those words left her mouth, the entire courtroom froze in shock. What happened next no one could have predicted. And Judge Judy's final words? They would destroy her completely. But here's what Karen didn't know. Judge Judy had already uncovered a secret so dark it would expose Karen's cruelty to the world. The case started simple enough. A property damage dispute between two neighbors. On one side sat Linda, a frail elderly woman in her 70s clutching a folder of documents with trembling hands. Her eyes were wet with worry, her voice barely above a whisper. On the other side, Karen. Large, loud, and dripping with arrogance, she wore flashy jewelry and a smug grin, leaning back in her chair like she owned the courtroom. She looked at Linda with pure contempt, as if the old woman was beneath her. Judge Judy straightened her papers and looked directly at Karen. "Explain your side of this case," she said calmly. Karen rolled her eyes dramatically and let out a mocking laugh. Then she did something that made the entire gallery gasp. She looked Judge Judy up and down slowly with disgust dripping from her eyes. "Why should I listen to some skinny witch who probably starves herself?" She sneered. The courtroom went dead silent. The bailiff's jaw literally dropped. Someone in the gallery whispered, "Did she just—" Linda's eyes went wide with horror, her hands gripping the table. Judge Judy's expression didn't change immediately. But her eyes turned to ice. She leaned forward slowly like a predator locking onto prey. "Excuse me?" Judy's voice was dangerously calm. "Care to repeat that?" Karen laughed again, louder this time, mistaking Judy's composure for weakness. "You heard me," she said, crossing her arms. "You're just a bitter skinny witch who thinks she's better than everyone." Murmurs erupted across the courtroom. "She's finished," someone whispered. "Did she really just say that?" Another voice asked in disbelief. Judge Judy tilted her head slightly, her gaze never leaving Karen. "Careful," she said, her voice sharp as a blade. "This courtroom is about respect, not your insecurities." Karen's smirk only grew wider. "I'm not scared of you," she shot back. "You can't hurt me with those bony little hands." The gallery buzzed with shock. Linda clutched her documents tighter, tears beginning to form in her eyes. But here's what Karen didn't realize. Judge Judy wasn't just listening. She was calculating. Because the truth is, Karen's body-shaming attack was about to uncover something far more toxic than a simple property dispute. Judy locked eyes with Karen, her voice steady and cold. "Do you understand what's at stake here?" Karen shrugged carelessly. "All I know is I'll walk out of here laughing at you, skinny." The room held its breath. What would Judge Judy say next to wipe that smirk off Karen's face? You see, cases like this remind us why standing up to bullies matters. And if you're watching right now, don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens when cruelty finally meets justice. Because what Judge Judy does next will leave you speechless. The room was heavy with silence. All eyes locked on Judge Judy as Karen leaned back smugly, like she just won some kind of victory. But Judy's eyes narrowed like a hawk spotting wounded prey. Her voice came low, steady, and absolutely lethal. "You think attacking my appearance makes you powerful? Let me educate you." She paused, letting the words sink in. "In this courtroom, respect is not optional. It's survival. And right now you're barely surviving." The gallery erupted in murmurs and gasps. Someone whispered, "She's about to destroy her." Karen's grin faltered for just a split second. She tried to cover it with a forced laugh. "Whatever, skinny. You still can't do anything to me." Judge Judy slammed her gavel once. The sound cracked through the air like thunder. "Sit up straight. Stop projecting your insecurities onto me, and show some respect before I show you what real power looks like." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Linda, clutching her supporter's hand, felt hope flicker for the first time. Maybe, just maybe, she would finally be heard. Karen muttered under her breath, "Whatever." Judy's eyes locked onto her immediately. "Say that louder." Karen's bravado wavered. "I said whatever," she repeated, weaker this time. Judge Judy leaned forward, her tone razor sharp. "Wrong answer. Because this court doesn't deal in whatever. It deals in truth." And the truth was about to expose Karen in ways she never imagined. Judy turned to Linda. "Present your evidence." Linda stood on shaky legs, her trembling hands holding out documents. Her voice was barely a whisper. "She destroyed my fence on purpose. Then she laughed about it and threatened me when I asked her to fix it." Head snapped toward Karen. Her smirk wavered, replaced by a flicker of panic. Judge Judy's voice rang out clear and cold. "Destruction of property, threats, this is not insecurity anymore. This is malice." The gallery buzzed louder, energy climbing. Karen shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her confidence cracking like thin ice. The room hushed as Judy reached for a folder on her bench. "I have in my hands photographs of the damage," she said, holding them up. "And a sworn statement from a witness who heard every word you said." The gallery gasped. Karen's head snapped up, fear flashing across her face for the first time. The bailiff moved toward the courtroom door. Footsteps echoed in the silence. Who was the witness that could end Karen's lies once and for all? The courtroom door swung open and a middle-aged man in casual clothes stepped inside, holding a folder tightly against his chest. The gallery turned in unison, whispers rushing through the benches like wind through trees. Judge Judy gestured toward the witness stand. "State your name." The man cleared his throat. "Robert Martinez, ma'am. I live 2 houses down from Linda." Judy nodded, her expression unreadable. "And what do you have to tell this court?" Robert glanced at Linda, then turned his gaze directly toward Karen. His voice was steady and clear. "I saw her take a sledgehammer to Linda's fence. When Linda came out crying, Karen laughed and said, 'What are you going to do about it, you pathetic old hag?'" Gasps shook the courtroom like an earthquake. Several people in the gallery covered their mouths in shock. Karen jumped from her chair, her face red with rage.
"That's a lie."
"He's making it up because he hates me." Judge Judy's gavel slammed down like thunder. "Sit down or I'll have you removed." Karen dropped back into her seat, breathing hard. Robert held up the folder in his hand. "And I took pictures. With timestamps." The bailiff moved forward, took the folder, and delivered it to Judge Judy. She opened it slowly, examining each photograph. Her eyes narrowed as she studied them. "These photos show deliberate destruction, not an accident." She held up one of the images. The fence was shattered, pieces of wood scattered across Linda's yard like a bomb had gone off. "And if you think this is just one witness against another, think again." Because Robert wasn't the only one who saw Karen's cruelty. Murmurs rippled through the gallery, anticipation climbing with every second. Linda wiped tears from her eyes, but this time they were tears of hope. Judge Judy looked toward the door. "Bring in the second witness." Karen's face drained of color, panic etched into every line. Someone in the gallery, a woman named Maria, whispered just loud enough to be heard, "She's finished." The bailiff opened the door again. Footsteps echoed through the silent courtroom. A young woman in professional attire entered, clutching her purse nervously. Judge Judy gestured for her to approach. "State your name." The woman's voice was soft but firm. "Jessica Hernandez. I live across the street from Linda." Judy leaned forward. "And what did you witness?" Jessica's eyes flicked briefly toward Karen, then locked onto Judge Judy. "I heard her screaming at Linda. She called her a useless old bitch and said if she complained, Karen would make her life hell." Gasps rippled through the courtroom like a shockwave. Linda's tears flowed freely now, but her face showed visible relief. Someone was finally telling the truth. Karen slammed her hand on the table. "They're lying. They're all lying because they're jealous of me." Judge Judy's gavel cracked through the air.
"Quiet."
Her voice was steel. "2 witnesses. Same story. Same cruelty. That's no coincidence." The gallery murmured loudly, the tide of the case shifting completely. Karen tried to laugh, but it came out desperate and hollow. "This is ridiculous. They're all skinny little people ganging up on me." Judge Judy's glare could have frozen fire. "No, Karen. The truth is ganging up on you. And if you think witnesses are all this court has, you're wrong. Because the next piece of evidence is physical proof of Karen's threats." The bailiff handed Judge Judy an envelope. She pulled out printed screenshots of social media posts. Judy read aloud, her voice cutting through the silence. "These are Facebook posts Karen made publicly. Quote, 'My stupid neighbor better shut up or I'll shut her up myself.'" Gasps tore through the gallery louder than before. Linda's sobs turned to trembling relief as her friend wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Judge Judy held the screenshots high. "Did you post this?" Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. Nothing. Just silence. Judy's voice cut through like a knife. "Your cruelty is documented, Karen. In writing." The gallery leaned forward, holding their breath. Someone whispered, "It's over." Another voice added, "She's done." How would Karen respond now that Judge Judy held undeniable proof in her hand? The gallery leaned forward as Judge Judy held the screenshots high. Karen's arrogance was visibly cracking piece by piece. Her face twitched as she struggled to find words. That's not what it sounds like." "It was just venting," she stammered. Judge Judy slammed her gavel down hard. "Venting is writing in a diary. Threats are posting attacks publicly where your victim can see them." The room went silent. Then Judy reached for another document on her bench. "But it gets worse, Karen, because I requested an analysis of your online activity." She held up the report, letting everyone see it. "According to this analysis, you've made 47 similar threatening posts about neighbors over the past year." Gasps erupted louder than any before. Linda pressed her hand to her lips, vindication washing over her like a wave. Maria whispered from the gallery, 47 times? This is who she is." Karen's face flushed red with anger and panic. She shifted in her chair, glancing desperately at the gallery as if anyone might save her. But no one moved. No one spoke up for her. Judge Judy leaned forward, her eyes burning into Karen. You didn't call me a skinny witch because you're confident. You did it because tearing others down is all you know. And if you think this online evidence is the end of it, you're mistaken, because the truth about Karen's cruelty runs deeper than you've admitted. Judy motioned to the bailiff. Bring forward the witness from her workplace. Murmurs swept across the gallery like wildfire. Karen's eyes widened in pure terror. The door opened and a woman in business casual attire stepped inside. She looked nervous but determined. State your name, Judy said. The woman took a breath. Amanda Price, I worked with Karen at Morrison's department store. Judy nodded. What can you tell this court? Amanda's voice steadied as she spoke. Karen was fired last year for harassing co-workers. She would body shame anyone who disagreed with her. She called our manager a fat pig and me a skinny bitch. When HR confronted her, she threatened to sue everyone and make our lives miserable. The gallery erupted in shock. Linda whispered, So this wasn't about me. This is who she's always been. Karen shot up from her chair. She's lying. That never happened. Judge Judy's gavel came down like thunder. Sit down. You are not running this court. I am. Amanda produced an envelope from her bag and handed it to the bailiff. He delivered it to Judge Judy, who scanned the contents quickly. Her expression darkened. This is an official HR report documenting multiple incidents of verbal harassment and threats. She looked up at Karen. So your body-shaming attacks weren't a one-time outburst. They're a pattern of abuse, the gallery murmured in disbelief. Judge Judy's voice rang clear. Karen, you thought attacking my appearance gave you power, but witness after witness paints the same picture. You are not misunderstood. You are a bully. Karen's face turned pale. Sweat beaded at her temples. She tried to sink into her chair as if it might swallow her whole. Judy held up the final page of the HR report, and this report includes statements from 6 different employees, all describing the same behavior. You weaponize your insecurities against anyone you perceive as a threat. Some in the gallery rose in outrage. Judy silenced them with her gavel. This case is not about offense anymore. It is about accountability. And accountability is coming. What would Judge Judy's next move be now that Karen's entire past was exposed in open court? The gallery's outrage swelled into a wave that crashed through the courtroom. Judge Judy let it build for a moment, let the energy fill every corner, then slammed her gavel down with authority. Silence snapped back instantly. Karen sat frozen in her chair, shoulders slumped, the arrogance that had carried her into this room now draining away like water through a crack. Judge Judy's voice was cold, calculated. Karen, your past has caught up with you. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle. You thought this courtroom would be another stage for your cruelty, but it has become the stage for your downfall. Whispers spread through the gallery. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation. Karen's lips trembled. Her voice came out weak, cracking at the edges. You don't understand. I never meant to hurt anyone. People are just too sensitive. Judge Judy leaned forward, her expression sharp as a knife. Intentions don't erase actions, and in this courtroom words have weight. She let that sink in before continuing. Yours destroyed property, frightened neighbors, and humiliated innocent people. You are not misunderstood. You are guilty of cruelty and arrogance. Linda pressed her hands against her chest, tears streaming down her face, tears of pain mixing with vindication. Maria leaned close and whispered, She's stripping her down piece by piece. Judge Judy's voice began to escalate, growing louder, more resonant, more commanding. You called me a skinny witch, thinking it would make you powerful. But what you didn't realize is that attacking others reveals your own weakness, and this court has no patience for weakness disguised as strength. The gallery erupted in applause. Judy raised her hand and silenced them with a sharp look and a single gavel strike. And if you think the consequences end with embarrassment, you're wrong. Because I intend to show you, Karen, what accountability really looks like. The clerk handed Judge Judy a thick file. She lifted it slowly, deliberately. This is a collection of complaints filed against you by multiple neighbors over 2 years. She opened the file, flipping through pages. Each one describes the same pattern: verbal abuse, property damage, intimidation, and refusing to take responsibility. Her eyes scanned the documents. They don't know each other, but every testimony tells the same story. Karen's head dropped. Her face disappeared into her hands. She muttered, voice cracking, This isn't fair. Judge Judy's voice cut back instantly like a whip. Fair? She stood slightly, leaning over the bench. Fair is what Linda begged you for when you destroyed her fence. Fair is what every neighbor asked for when you harassed them. Fair is what your coworkers wanted when you humiliated them. This is not unfair, Karen. This is justice finally catching up. The gallery sat in stunned silence. Every breath felt weighted, heavy with anticipation. Judge Judy raised her chin, her tone commanding. But before I deliver my ruling, I will allow you one last chance to speak. Choose your words wisely because they may be the last shred of dignity you have left. Karen slowly lifted her head. Sweat covered her forehead. Her voice trembled at first, then she forced out a bitter laugh. You all think you've got me figured out, but you don't know what it's like being me. Her voice grew louder, more desperate. Everyone judges me because of how I look. So yeah, I fight back. People like me have to be tough. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed, steel in her gaze. Being tough is standing up for yourself with integrity. What you did was tear others down to feel better about yourself. That's not strength, Karen, that's cowardice. Karen's voice rose, wilder now, spinning out of control. She pointed a shaking finger at Linda. She's lying. They're all lying because they hate me for being confident. Her breathing grew erratic, her chest heaving. Judge Judy slammed her gavel down hard. Watch your tone. You are on the edge of contempt and I will not hesitate to remove you. Karen's face flushed red. Her breathing was erratic now, ragged. You don't scare me, Judge! Judge Judy's expression didn't change. Her voice was calm, steady, and absolutely final. Then you're about to learn consequences in a way you never imagined. The gallery buzzed like a storm building on the horizon. Judy leaned forward, her voice steady and deliberate. Because in my ruling, Karen, I will not just decide your debt, I will decide your fate. What judgment was Judge Judy about to hand down that would determine Karen's future forever? Before we continue, I want everyone watching to understand something. Bullies rely on silence. They count on good people staying quiet. But justice only works when we refuse to be silent. If you believe in standing up to bullies, hit that subscribe button and join this community, because together, we make sure cruelty never wins. The gallery leaned forward, every heartbeat echoing in the silence. Karen sat stiffly, fists clenched on the table, her eyes darting desperately for an escape that didn't exist. Judge Judy adjusted her glasses, her tone deliberate and final. You thought calling me names would buy you time. You thought cruelty would shield you. She paused. But cruelty is paper thin when weighed against truth. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the courtroom. Linda clasped Maria's hand, her tears replaced with quiet strength. Karen leaned forward, her voice breaking. You can't do this to me. I'm the victim here. They all twisted my words. Judy tilted her head, completely unimpressed. A victim? Karen, victims do not destroy property. Victims do not post threats online. Victims do not body shame others or terrorize workplaces. You are no victim. You are the aggressor. Karen's jaw tightened. Her silence betrayed her fear. And if you think this judgment is only about offense, you are gravely mistaken. Because this court will show you that cruelty ripples outward, and the cost is greater than you ever imagined. The clerk handed Judy a stack of additional complaints. She scanned them, her expression darkening. You have harassed multiple people in this neighborhood. You spread intimidation like a disease, and today that ends. Gasps filled the room. Linda's eyes widened. There were others. Maria squeezed her shoulder. You're not alone anymore. Karen slammed the table, her voice cracking into a desperate plea. I just wanted respect. Nobody ever respected me. Judy's tone softened slightly but cut even deeper. Respect is not demanded through fear. Respect is earned through integrity, and you abandoned integrity long ago. The gallery erupted in applause before Judy silenced them. This case is not only about money, it is about accountability, and accountability requires consequence. She leaned forward, eyes locked on Karen. Which means my ruling will not just address your debt, it will address your behavior. Judge Judy raised her gavel slowly, then struck once. The sound echoed like thunder. First, you will pay for all property damage, including full fence replacement. Second, you will pay Linda damages for emotional distress caused by months of harassment. Third, this court recommends community service, 40 hours at a senior center where you will learn what respect actually means. And fourth, a restraining order. You are prohibited from contacting Linda or any witness in this case. The gallery erupted. Linda's tears streamed freely as Maria hugged her tightly. Finally, real justice. Karen's face drained of color. Community service? Restraining order? You can't. That's too far. Judy's glare silenced her instantly. Too far? Too far is destroying someone's property out of spite. Too far is weaponizing your insecurities against innocent people. My ruling is not too far. It is precisely as far as justice must go. Judy turned to the gallery, her voice resonating. This case is a reminder. Cruelty may roar for a season, but truth will echo forever. This is what happens when bullies are dragged into the light. The gallery gave a standing ovation. Karen slumped into her chair, hands covering her face. Please. I didn't mean it to go this far. Judy's expression softened only slightly. You didn't mean for consequences to catch up with you. But they have. And they always will. She leaned back briefly, then delivered her final words. Case closed. The gavel struck one last time. But the lesson from this case extends far beyond these walls. Because what Karen learned today is what every bully must learn eventually. The courtroom erupted in celebration. Linda was embraced by her supporters, Maria wiping tears of triumph. Karen was led away by the bailiff, head down, her smirk gone forever. The story closed not with cruelty, but with a lesson. Body shaming may wound for a moment, but truth will heal for a lifetime. As the camera began to fade from Judge Judy's bench, her words lingered in the air. Attacking someone's appearance never makes you powerful. It only reveals your own pain. And in this courtroom, pain does not excuse cruelty. And now to you watching, think about this. We've all met someone like Karen. Someone who masks their insecurity with cruelty. Someone who tears others down to feel better about themselves. Maybe it was at work. Maybe in your neighborhood. Maybe even in your own family. But Judge Judy's words ring true beyond these walls. Cruelty fades. Truth endures. That's why these stories matter. They remind us that no matter how small our voice may feel, truth has a way of breaking through. That when good people find courage to speak, bullies lose their power. So if you've ever stood against a bully or wished you had, this is your place. Hit that subscribe button right now. Share your story in the comments. Have you ever dealt with someone like Karen? Let's build a community where cruelty has no power and truth always wins. Because in the end, it isn't just Judge Judy who delivers justice. It's every person who dares to say enough is enough. Karen's cruelty had been destroyed. Linda's courage had been rewarded. And justice had spoken. See you in the next case.